Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 11th episode of The Journey to Creativity. I am your host, Vanessa Castro, and I want to welcome you here to Esteban Xound, a friend of mine from Cypher Club. We have talked to you about Cypher Club in previous episodes. He's an entrepreneur, an MC when it feels like being an MC, and he's certified, hip hop certified. Welcome, Esteban. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, Esteban is not only an entrepreneur and MC. He's a huge collaborator for our community here in the music scene in Calgary. He's been working for years in enhancing the hip hop culture, right? Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and about what you've been doing since 2014? It's been a while.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, where do you want to start? Do you want to start all the way from 2014?
However you want to talk about your main project.
Okay, so the main project right now is Hip Hop Certified.
Mm-hmm.
So those, if you know, you know. So that's the Pusha T. Hip Hop Certified is essentially a hip hop media company, and what we look to do is to promote and advocate hip-hop culture through podcasts, interviews, freestyles, just kind of creative content that we can push out to the community to promote hip-hop culture.
Yes.
And yeah, it started back in 2014. So, I mean, you said you did a little bit of research.
Yeah, I was checking out your Hip Hop Certified website, and you have there the podcast project, right? The drive-in.
The drive-by.
Oh my God, why do I keep changing it?
The drive-by.
The drive-by.
It's okay.
And you started doing music reviews, right? You started doing album reviews first.
So that's where I did start. Yeah, it was album reviews. And really it started back in 2014. So I'll kind of break it down. So when I was 15 or 16 years old, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Millrise with my 4 family members. And we were, I wouldn't say we were like in poverty, but we definitely were dealing with our economic struggles. So through that, I mean, I'd always been like a fan and interested in hip hop culture and music, but it was through that struggle that I really started connecting with hip hop on a deeper level, saying, okay, wow, this can really represent people that are going through a struggle. And so it was around when I was 15 or 16 years old, I started getting into hip hop heavily. I downloaded like every album I could off of like all the illegal sites and put it on. I don't know if you ever like have downloaded music and put it on your iPod or your iPhone.
For sure, that's where I began as well.
Yes.
Downloading Kazaa and
like Mediafire, Zippy Share,
BitTorrent.
And like it was just so awesome going through all the albums and just getting super into the music and I was like, okay, how do I get into this culture? How do I seriously participate in this? So I started writing down lyrics. I started writing, and then I was like, okay, I can do this. But the thing was, I didn't have like recording equipment. So I didn't have like a microphone. I didn't have a studio. So I was like, okay, how can I also express myself in this culture without having to record myself through music? And I found these guys online called Dead in Hip Hop. Shout out to Dead in Hip Hop.
Shout out to Dead in Hip Hop.
And they do album reviews. So they just talk about albums, and I love the way they would talk about albums.
Nice.
Because it was just like how me and my friends would talk about albums. So I was like, yo, why don't we just like link up and just talk about these albums?
Yeah.
Like, because that was just fun for us to do, right? And I was like, okay, this is something that I can do and I can inspire to be. So I remember the day we were talking about it that summer with my homies, and I was telling them, yeah, we should do this. And then finally it was in the 11th grade. I was like, okay, let me just fucking do this. And I asked my friend Owen, who had a camera. And I was like, yo, is it cool if you come over to the house and we record this review? I went out and I bought, it was Logic's Under Pressure, Logic's first debut album. I went out, I bought it at South Center Mall, and I took it home. I listened to it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about this album. And then, boom, we brought the cameras over to the apartment. My mom wasn't home. She was still at work, and my brother was home. And we had no idea what we were doing. We were just like, okay, do we press record? How am I going to intro it? It was horrible. Like my first review was just like, it was good, but it was just like, I know that wasn't my best work. So anyway, we did it. We threw it up. I edited it. And then ever since then, I was like, okay, boom, this is what I'm doing. And then I did that for about a year. It was up until 2015. And then things changed.
Yeah.
So
things happened.
Yes. So my mom, she was dating this guy, a Canadian guy.
Okay.
And he had a house over in Cranston. He was living over in the suburbs, like the nice suburbs. Like if you ever been to Cranston, it's nice, right? Mm-hmm. And like us, we'd lived in the suburbs before, but we were always in and out of like, you know, like communities, and we were in and out of apartments to houses. So we moved a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And he was pretty much stable in what he was doing. He had his own job, and an incredible person. Shout outs to Mike. Just an incredible person. But at the time, I couldn't appreciate it because I was like, why is this guy, why is my mom dating a Canadian guy? Like, you know, I was also reading a lot into Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam and those kind of teachings. And they would teach about, you know, how a lot of it was the struggle was imposed by the white man. Yeah. So that kind of was in my mentality. Like, okay, a lot of the reasons why I'm struggling in this apartment is because of this system, the white man who's holding me down. So
yeah, and you're Colombian.
Yes, right? Exactly. I'm Colombian for those who don't know. And it's funny because I always get teased for looking white. Because I have the green eyes. And but I would never self-identify that way.
But I like it because it goes through in your rap though. Like you bring it out. I was checking your SoundCloud.
Oh, did you really?
The peso.
Yeah.
For the peso.
Oh my God.
That was dope though.
Yeah. So okay. So I guess I'll kind of go into that. So boom, we moved places. Mm-hmm. I was super upset about what was going on because I was just like, man, like, I don't want to be here. I can't relate to this community. Mm-hmm. Like I felt like in my heart that I was going to be the one to take us out of those apartments. I was going to be the one to get us out of that situation. And when somebody who I didn't identify culturally with took us out of that situation, I was like, what is this? Like, this isn't supposed to be the way. Yeah. This isn't how things are supposed to be. So it really fucked me up that somebody that I kind of learned to distrust would offer such an opportunity for us to come and live in his house because he opened up his house for us to come and live there. So boom, the contract ended for the apartment. We moved into Cranston, and I was like, okay, now I felt like I had to prove myself. Yeah. So I went and I did my stupid shit with my friends in the streets, trying to prove myself. And I mean, for the time, it made me some decent money, but it at the long term, I ended up losing a lot of the friends that were there. At the moment, we barely talk. I mean, so it wasn't really worth it at the end. Yeah. So I got through that, and I said, okay, now what am I gonna do with my life? Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna be in the streets. What am I gonna do with myself? I still love hip hop, right? Yeah. So how do I creatively express myself? I was like, boom, let me put out some music. Mm-hmm. And now I worked a little bit. I had some money. I could go and buy equipment. So I was like, okay, let me go buy some equipment. Let me record some music. Let me put it out there. So boom, I recorded my first EP and I put it out there and I started performing. I started going to open mics. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, this is what I'm starting to get into. This is cool. And then boom, again, something happens.
Oh my God.
I end up getting put into the hospital for psychosis.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Damn.
So I got put into the hospital for psychosis, and it really fucked up a lot of things that were going on at the time. So I was it was a super change. I was like, I don't know if I'm crazy or what was going on. So I obviously I went through that. I stayed in the hospital for about a month. Went through all of that, mental health struggles and getting out of that, and boom, got out of the hospital. I said, okay, what am I going to do with myself? The music, I can do it. It's still something that I'm passionate about. But how can I practically pursue hip hop?
Yes.
So then I was like, okay, well, I know I was doing reviews before everything kind of went down. So let me go back and start doing reviews. So bingo, I with my little phone, I set up on like a couple pillows and I started recording reviews in my room.
Yeah.
And we started recording reviews in my room, and I was just like, fuck it, this is what I'm going to do. I started putting them out, editing them. You know, they got a little bit of traction. So I was like, okay, cool. This is, you know, this is interesting. I like what this is, how this is going. And I started putting them out. I did that for about, I mean, I'd say I did the reviews until like 2019, this year.
Wow.
And we did a collaboration review with Joe and Johnson, who's a part of Hip Hop Certified now.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is cool. Let's, you know, I like the aspect of working with other people because that's what the original vision was, to work with other people in
I see.
in what we were doing.
Yeah.
But then as I started working with a lot more artists and got involved with Cypher Club, I was like, I'm not really as interested in being a part of the critical side of things as I am like being a part of the creative side of things.
Interesting. Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, how do I start being a part of the creative side of things? You can see a lot of changes, right?
Yeah.
And we're still going through a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do I start being a part of the creative side of it? I was like, okay, let me start doing interviews, because interviews is kind of like, it's more creative. I grew up listening to interviews all the time, so let me start doing that. I can do that.
Yeah.
And I started talking with some of the people that I would go to Cypher Club with, and some of the people I would go and meet at these open mics, and and all that experience that I went actually like trying to be an MC still would apply. Like it still worked, because I was like, boom, these relationships that I built through like MCing, I can now use through interviews and podcasts.
Yeah.
So then boom, we started getting artists that we would see at Cypher Club in these podcasts. I remember the first one we did was Kareem, Young Papi Benito.
Yeah.
And boom, that kicked off the podcast. And a big inspiration for that as well was the Sweetie Treaty show.
The Sweetie Treaty, yes. Huge inspiration from them. Shout out to MC.
Good Medicine.
Good Medicine.
Yes.
And the Sweetie Treaty, yes. So
yes.
Such an inspiration for me as well. And your podcast as well. Like it's all, we nurture each other's inspirations collectively, right?
Yes.
Dope.
Definitely. So yeah, huge inspiration was Sweetie Treaty show. I was like, you know what? If these guys can do it, and I'm next to them, and I see them every day, I know I can do this too. So I was like, boom, let me do it. Started the podcast. We started working with other people, and I was like, okay, great. And now we're doing interviews. We're doing the drive-by, which is the car interview series that I have.
The drive-by is so dope. It feels so much like, I don't know how to explain it. It feels so close. It's almost like you're there. It feels very intimate. And I think that just the fact that you're driving and the person that's with you is also there, like looking around, kind of like sets another kind of environment. And you both forget kind of, I'm guessing, I'm assuming that. That's what I imagine, that when this is happening, you both kind of forget that you're being recorded and it's an episode of the drive-by, right?
Yes. Well, the funny thing about doing the drive-by is, like, it's a very much a live thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, literally our lives are in each other's hands. Because if that person decides to push me or like jump out of the car or do something crazy, then like I have to deal with that in real time, right?
Yeah.
Or if I stop paying attention to the wheel and I turn and I crash into somebody,
exactly.
Like our lives are literally on the line while we're doing that. So like it's a very much an intimate situation.
Yeah.
Because we have to put a lot of trust in each other.
That's
in that
so
situation.
True.
So I think, and a lot of the thing is it also puts people in a regular everyday situation.
Yeah.
Where like you see these artists perform.
Yeah.
And we think that they're like up here, right? Untouchable. But once we actually put them in the car, we're like, oh, this is just regular people sitting down in the car, right?
Yeah.
Like I do that with my mom or my brother or my girlfriend or my boyfriend or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a really everyday, very intimate situation, and I like it.
I like that too. I really like the evolution of your creative project and how this has been changing so much, and for it's been what, like 4 or 5 years that you've
Yes.
been like working on this, and you've persisted. You've been so persistent and continue, like things happen in life, you know, it
A
throws you
lot.
off, but you used it, and eventually, ultimately, you use this life experiences to like nurture your passion, and you kept it. You was like, well, I still want to hang on to hip hop,
Yes.
and you continued towards it. And I think you're building something amazing, because you are one of those channels where like this is all this is happening, right? Cypher Club happens at a house, and it's kind of low key, it's hidden. That's part of kind of like the hip hop culture as well, right? I'm sort of like an outsider. I'm just getting into it, and it's not been with me all my life, but I'm learning a lot through your podcast and your project, and learning a lot more about the artists that are in the city, that we'll see them right on stage, we see them here and there, we listen to their music, but it's so cool to get to know them in a closer way. And yeah, I really appreciate how you're collaborating to the music scene in Calgary. That's really dope.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And the good thing about what I'm doing is it can kind of reach 3 audiences. One of them is people that are already very involved in the hip hop culture in Calgary, like the artists that are already very much involved.
Yeah.
But then it also reaches the people who are into hip hop but maybe aren't into the culture in Calgary. Maybe they're not into the hip hop scene in Calgary. They're into hip hop. They know their biggest artists from the US like Drake, or sorry, from Canada or US like Drake or Kendrick, but they might not know the artists that are in Calgary. So it also reaches those people. And then it reaches people that have no idea about hip hop, but just know me or know about me. And they're like, okay, what is this? Let me see what he's doing. And then they see that, okay, this is dope. Like, this guy is starting to talk with people, right? And so, yeah, like
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm so happy that you're doing this. What do you think have been like you've mentioned life challenges, but in terms of the creative process itself, or whether it's with your music, like your own rap, or the podcast, or the whole platform of Hip Hop Certified, what have been your main challenges? Is it people you work with, or yourself? Where are those demons attacking you and making you stronger?
So I wouldn't say it's a issue. I'd say it's something that we are gonna overcome moving forward. Is just learning how to monetize what we're doing.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right, and that's what changes it from being something that's voluntary and like a volunteer and like, you know, like a non-for-profit, and then turning it into a business as an entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
And there's a very big difference. And I notice a lot of the community organizations and hip hop organizations in Calgary, or organizations that push or hip hop culture in Calgary, are non-for-profits. They don't make a profit off what they're doing. And I want to change that. I want to, if there's something that I can do, it's to help bring money and wealth, not just money, but wealth to the hip hop culture in Calgary. Because there's so many other people in the US or in other places that are eating off of this culture. So I feel like those that are participating here also have the right to make a living off what they're doing. Yeah. And I want to be able to do that.
Wow. That's huge. That's actually huge. I really like that.
And it's gonna have to be, you know, we're paving a way. Yes. Now, of course, there's people out there that have already learned how to monetize this, and I'm starting to look at that. Like, there's people that have learned how to monetize podcasts and media companies, and we do got to look at those examples and see how we can do it. Yeah. But it'll be blazing a trail for Calgary here, because the closest that I've seen to someone doing that is 10 at 10. But they're more of a live events kind of organization. True. Now, they also have an Instagram. I don't know if they're profiting off of that. But it's something that we can learn from. So shout outs to 10 at 10. But for people that are doing podcasts and interviews, I'm trying to blaze that trail so me and you can get paid off this shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, and that's not the ultimate goal, of course not. Because if that's the ultimate goal, then you're going to be lost and like you're going to burn out very soon. If that's the ultimate goal to make money off this, then like it's not for. I would highly suggest you don't do it because you're gonna be putting on a lot of fucking work, voluntary, and not getting paid for it. You know what I mean? But if you're in it for something bigger than just making money, and you also want to make money, then I say fucking let's do this.
I mean, there's money now and there's money later, right? There's things that you need to hustle. I mean, right, grind right now every day to pay your bills and stuff. Hopefully we get there, though. I think there's a lot of potential. I mean, Calgary has like so much potential. There's so many. It's like it's something that's happening, but at the same time, something more needs to happen for like unite the community and push it forward. Maybe it's just a matter of time. Maybe it's just a matter of us all just continuing what we're doing, right?
I think it's gonna take a lot of research and a lot of hustle. Mm-hmm. And luckily, because of the things that I was doing in the streets, you know, I don't brag about that. Even if it was something, in the relative scheme of everything, it was something very small, but it was also something very important because those skills that I was doing in the streets, like I was learning how to make money off of a business, right? Yeah. So those skills are still applicable to what you're doing. Now, sure. I don't want to advocate people like having to go and you know do illegal business to learn how to, you know, become an entrepreneur. Yeah. But those skills are still applicable, and if that's something that you went through already, then I feel like, or even if you, I don't know, if you started a lemonade stand before, or if you ever took something and sold it, like those basic ideas are still applicable to whatever. Yes. So it's just learning how to apply that to what we're doing here. Right. How do we produce this and sell it, right?
How do we make it sellable?
Yes, exactly. How do we make it sellable?
Or how do we find the loopholes? Because there's a whole, I mean, me and Tim talk a lot about this, about the whole copyright theme.
Copyright is huge.
You know, it's huge. It's something that we don't know enough about. And maybe we could actually be living out of music, but we just don't know how to do it, right? Exactly. And it's so much,
And I'm not saying that I know everything, but I've done a little bit of research to kind of have a grasp of how to go about things. Mm-hmm. It's just really going about making it happen. So that's where we're at right now. To kind of answer your question, like the obstacle, or I guess the challenge that we're facing right now that we're going to overcome is how to monetize this. Dope. And we have ideas coming soon, and people will see. And I think people will be proud. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. People will be proud to pay. People will be willing to pay for what we're doing. Yeah. It's just creating a demand for it. And I think we're starting to do that.
Yeah. Or just finding it.
Even just getting like access to it. People like getting to know it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And today we have a lot of opportunities to make it happen. Right. So.
And okay, Calgary, I know Calgary might be going through like a downturn economically, but I know this city has money. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like me and you come from where?
From Chile.
Okay, and you know what it's like coming from Chile to not have money.
Exactly.
Like when motherfuckers really don't have money, right?
Exactly.
We come here like people aren't like wealthy, but people have like
but you chill.
Like I think people have money to like if people will spend money on liquor, if people will spend money on like food, going out, weed, people have money to spend on something that they care about. That's promoting a culture that they care about.
So true.
And I think it's just creating that value.
Like making people care enough
to be like, let me spend my money on this. Yes.
Yeah. And I think all these things that we're doing, like you say, we're like trailblazing, because these podcasts, this, I don't know, Cypher Club, every single event that happens in the city, like the Haven Party, 10 at 10, One Big Jam, I can think of something else now, but there's so many. Group Theory also, yes. Right? There's a lot going on, and let's all support and not care about spending the $10, spending the $5, right? Or supporting people on, for example, SoundCloud. You have to pay to maintain it, right? So that's something that most people don't know. So you can support podcasters like that, right? Or listen to local music. I started building on Spotify. Like I called it, what did I call it? Calgary or YYC Fire.
Oh, nice. You have a playlist on there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I'm slowly building it, but like
Yeah,
putting all
that's a
the,
really good idea.
you know, stuff like that. Or there's producers. There's so many producers here in the city as well. Or nearby, like in Edmonton, there's I remember I had it in
Sampler Cafe.
Sampler Cafe,
Yeah.
right, from Edmonton.
Yeah.
A lot of collaboration between Edmonton and Calgary's. Golden Child was here for a while. He stayed.
Shout out to Golden Child. He's crazy.
Shout out to Golden Child, right? The Wizard Palace, Kevin Chu. There's a lot of, maybe one way would be for to use local producers, right, for the tracks. That would be one way.
Yes,
like
yeah, that's a good idea.
On
Yes.
local produced music.
Yes, absolutely. That's something that we gotta look
Right?
into. Yes.
And that could start creating a Calgary type of sound.
Yes,
Right?
bingo, because it does come from the producers.
'Cause it comes from
Absolutely.
here.
I don't know if you want to get into that.
Born and raised, for sure. Do you want to get into that? I mean,
What is the sound of Calgary?
what is the sound of Calgary?
You know what's crazy? Okay, so were you at Cypher when we did the house performances?
Yes.
Okay, so this was a perfect example of the sound of Calgary. If
that's so true.
If you noticed, a lot of the sounds that were coming there were very much in the same realm.
Yeah.
Like things were kind of very ambient, kind of lo-fi a little bit.
Yes.
Like it was, but it had a sound to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only performance that was really out there was like mine. Mine
You
was
think
like,
so?
yeah, because like mine didn't really fit with the whole vibe of everything.
No, I think it was perfect. Yeah, it was part of the Cypher Calgary sound.
Okay,
Totally.
well, I mean, I did a track over Little Brothers. I can't remember which song it is. The second track off of their the minstrel show. But anyway,
I thought it was dope.
yeah,
Very late.
no, I thought it turned out really good as well. But the majority of the other artists that were there, they were pushing a sound, and I was like, holy shit! Like now I'm starting to hear people push a collective sound.
Wow.
Like also, it was raining at that day as
Yeah.
well, and it was kind of cloudy, so that might have affected things.
That might have created a sort of vibe. Yeah, you're right.
But I think we were pushing a sound at that day.
Yeah.
So if we did that more often, then it'd be like, whoa, like I think people would start getting, like I think that day I started to identify, whoa, this is the Cypher Club sound.
Yeah.
Like this is the Cypher Club sound. You know what I mean? You get to see what people sound like on songs.
True.
It's like, this is the Cypher Club sound.
Because everyone that day, I mean, I I felt so bad because I kind of forgot. And I wanted to prepare a song, but I just improvised at the end. I don't know if you remember.
Oh,
But-
yeah, with Eric. Yeah, that was
with
cool.
Eric.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, that was dope. But everyone created a song. Like Bridget created a song for it. Tori, I think she also did. Or,
I missed a lot of the first half.
But I feel like Seed.
Seed. Yeah, Seed came on
Also-
before me. Yeah.
He brought his, you did as well. Well, Seraphin, Zoe.
Seraphin's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're insane. But everyone created something special for that day, and that was super cool.
And like I'm starting to get back into writing now.
Yeah.
And I've started to notice, like when you're creating, maybe I don't know, at least when I'm creating, maybe not at because I'm still at a very much a beginner stage of like making music and songs. But when I get to that mode, it's still very much like I'm not worried about the sound and how I'm gonna push the sound. I'm
Yeah.
more worried about what moves me and
For
what
sure.
what works with what I'm gonna write, right? The only reason why I say we should push a sound is like, let's say, like for example, my favorite albums of all time they had like a cohesive sound. So they had like an umbrella of a sound. Those were my
Yeah.
favorite albums.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want when either I'm making music or I'm hearing music from other people. If they're giving me a project, to give me a collective sound. And I think someone who did that very well was Young Poppy Bonito on Grey Matters.
Yes, that's so true.
If you hear his album, like he pushed the sound. It's very
It's
much
cohesive.
Yes, it's cohesive. That's
Yeah.
it. And
It
that's
is.
really that's all I ask for. It's something cohesive.
Coherence.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's literally that's all I ask for.
Yeah, the thing is, I think what you're saying is something very deep because you only acquire that sort of coherent, one like idea type of sound once the art has matured enough, if you know what I mean, right? It's
Bingo.
like
Yes.
when now that I don't know, Cypher, I joined Cypher not too long ago, but there's been like a few years of it maturing and meeting every single day and jamming together. Same as when bands jam together. Tim and Max and his band, right, the Haven Vanguard, they jam together over and over for years. So that kind of starts creating a certain vibe to it, a certain color that starts coming out as. But it's a level of
Maturity and time, right?
Mm-hmm. Time and. Yeah, and the you see it when someone has kept on doing something over and over again, like just trying to find that perfect result. Or I don't know. Like every artist, I think, seeks for some ideal, right?
Yes.
And as you get closer to it, some sort of thing that has its own life, its own personality starts to show up. Yeah.
And I'd say it's even applicable to like what we're doing with Hip Hop Certified. Because I think we're just starting to get our feet into what we're doing.
True.
Right? Like, I think we're just starting to get our feet and identity as far as what we're doing. But that was something that I discussed with our team members. Like, we need a clear identity of what we're doing and why we're doing it. True. And I think we're just, like, there's still so many moving pieces. Because we just recently, we did a podcast at Koi. A live podcast, and you were there.
Yeah, that was dope.
That was an experiment. That's the first time we've ever done something like that.
With hip hop dancers. That was crazy.
That was even more out of the box because most of the people that we talk with are MCs.
Yeah, true.
So we're still testing the waters, and I think we're always going to be testing the waters.
For sure.
But it's definitely creating that consistency. And I noticed, like, when it comes to the drive-by, people fuck with the drive-by because it's consistent.
Yeah.
Like, people kind of, they know the format, they know how it's gonna work, and they know what to expect and when to expect it. It's a dope format, but it's also the consistency that brings people back. So it's like, if we can create that consistency with the podcast and the other things we're trying to do with Hip Hop Certified, then I think we'll be fucking golden.
Trailblazing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool. I want to ask you, I know we've talked about difficulty and all, but I want to ask you something. Have you ever doubted yourself? Because a lot of creative people go through times of doubt and hesitation, or like, am I doing things right, or am I, maybe is this for me, maybe it's not for me? Like, we go through, especially in the beginning phases of whatever it is that you're pursuing, right? So
I'd say something that I am dealing with is I'd say, I wouldn't say it is a certain degree of doubt, but I don't want to put that on myself. I would say it's more, how do I describe it? So the biggest thing that I kind of going back and forth with is me being an MC and rapping and creating, like, not so much the art of MCing, because I will bust a freestyle wherever, whenever, however. I don't give a damn. Like, that's like, I will do that. Like, thanks to Zoe for introducing that art to me, because that is so incredible.
Shout out to Zoe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zoe. We love you.
Because that opened up a whole new path for me to be like, yo, I can just come up with shit on the spot and just like whatever, like any time of the day.
Yeah.
So that's an awesome way for me to express that craft and that element, the art of emceeing. But it's making music and making songs and calling myself an artist. That is when I'm just like, because the reason why is I don't want to step on. It's two reasons. There's a responsibility that comes with that, and I don't want to step on the toes of the people who are doing that.
Yeah.
Who are doing that day in and day out, who are committing all of their time into that, right? Because when you're doing that, that's what you're doing and what you're thinking about 24/7.
True.
So for me, I know I'm putting a lot of my time into Hip Hop Certified. So that's why I'd say, okay, I know I'm doing Hip Hop Certified and I'm proud to rep that. But once I get to the point where I am putting that same amount of time, if not somewhere around the same amount of time into the art of emceeing and rapping, then I will proudly go out and say, yes, I'm rapping and I'm creating music. But if I'm not putting in that time, then I don't want to put that on myself, right? That's just what I feel like.
Yeah. I think it's fair, because there are people that are like 100% into one thing, but For example, I'm a very not 100% person because now I'm doing this project. I'm also singing. At the same time, I'm kind of learning more piano. Before that, I was painting a lot more. At some point, I was writing a lot more. So I've been like all over the place. And I feel you on that because you're like, well, I can call myself an artist in general.
Right, exactly. Kind of put that like
right?
general title on yourself, right?
Yeah. But in the end, what defines that? Because you can be, I don't know, you can be an artist and be in the very beginning phases, or you can be an artist and be in a phase of that you're very advanced, that you've acquired technique, that you have, I don't know, developed a lot of experience, but you still are, right? So I feel you on that doubt, and I think I still hesitate also if like, do I say I sing or not? Like, should I call myself a singer?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, like when you introduce yourself, like, and I think I'm starting to get more comfortable in that as I start to put a little bit more time into it.
Yeah.
Like calling myself an entrepreneur and an MC, because that's what I'm putting my time into, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I am proud to say that and rep that. And something that I'm trying to show to people is, you can do interviews and podcasts and media and this side of the world and make a business, and you can still be an MC and you can still express yourself through one of the core 4 elements. Because the reason why I value the art of MCing and rapping, which is kind of like they interchangeable words.
Okay, yeah.
To give a little bit of knowledge to people who are out there. So
yeah, explain it.
So hip hop, there's 3 levels of hip hop, and within that there's different levels in that.
Okay.
So there's hip hop consciousness, which is what inspires us to rap, to graffiti, to do this shit in the first place.
Okay.
Then there's hip hop culture, and then there's hip hop byproducts.
Oh.
So with the hip hop culture, there's elements and principles. So with the elements and principles, there's, what do? We do MCing, breaking, DJing, beatboxing, graffiti writing, street language, street knowledge, street fashion, and street entrepreneurialism. Why do we do it? For peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. Those were the original foundations of hip hop. Shout outs to my teacher, my mentor, KRS-One. Someone that I've learned from afar. I've never got to meet him. I will meet you one day.
Oh, damn.
But this is somebody that I've learned from a lot. And then through those elements, there's hip hop byproducts.
Okay.
So through the art of MCing, DJing, then we have rap music, products, CDs, T-shirts, all of that.
Yeah.
Products, right? But within those tiers, there's consciousness, element or culture, and then there's byproducts. So I try and put my focus as much as I can on the culture. Right. In my own time, I developed the consciousness through the knowledge and self-development.
Yeah.
But when I'm out here, like dealing with people in the real world, it's through the culture, through the elements of the culture. So for me, I look at it as not so much like, because I feel like when people look at rapping, they look at the byproducts. They look at it like the rapping and the 100 million sales and the streamings and the gold chains and all that. But if you look at it deeper, it's really just the art of rhythmic sound and movement through words, and that, and you know, and self-expression through that.
Yeah.
And that's what I put my focus on. So the reason why I consider myself an MC is because I express myself in that manner. I express myself through that cultural element. Like, for example, if somebody who is from, let's say, from a Latin country, or they consider themselves Latino or Colombian or whatever, right? Or Chilean. A part of that is participating in the elements of the culture. So, for example, speaking Spanish. So, for example, like my Spanish, I'm working on it, right? I'm working on it. I know, but I know I have to participate in that if that's something that I value.
Yes.
It's like preserving the culture, and that's something that I value. So if hip hop is something that you value, then practice and learn how to master one of the elements of the culture.
Yeah.
And that's why I consider myself an entrepreneur, because that's one of the elements, and MC because that's one of the elements.
Dope. Okay, that was a super clear explanation. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're focusing on the culture, and you mentioned self-development. How do you see self-development as a part of hip hop?
Oh, it's huge.
Yes. Tell us about that.
So it's all related, but I guess the hip hop consciousness, it's kind of hard to describe hip hop consciousness because it's just like you just know it. Like it's kind of like something you just caught with, and it's just like boom, like this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like those who are like in the culture, or know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of who I speak to, or at least who I hope to speak to.
Yes.
Is those who are like rapping, yo, I'm hip hop. Like this is what I'm doing. This is what I breathe. This is what I live. And so it's kind of like it's something that catches you. And then through that, whether it's like a common struggle that you've been through or like because that's part of self-development, like a struggle. So for example, when I said that, I was in that 2-bedroom apartment with 4 people, or even like moving around from country to country and going from place to place growing up, that struggle of trying to find financial, stability and dealing with immigration and feeling like you've been an outcast and been targeted by a larger system. That's what hip hop speaks to. And when you go through that personally develops yourself. So those experiences, huge. Another part of it is the knowledge. So like I said, when I studied Malcolm X and the civil rights movement. Yeah. So I read that. I would read the history of Simón Bolívar and how the Gran Colombia and how that came to be and through the knowledge as well that personal development starts happening, right? Yes. So it's a combination of both, through the knowledge and through your experiences. Then you start personally developing yourself. And then it's like, okay, now I can express myself through these elements because I understand why I'm doing it.
Crazy. Wow. So it ends up being like a fire, right?
Yes, exactly.
That pushes you to become better.
Yes. And it's like, that. Like, it's like you just know that. It's just like an intuit. Like you ever like, I don't know how to, maybe you ever been like in a situation where you just know that, like, maybe like, or maybe how about in this situation? Like, if you ever been in a situation where you had to make a decision and you just did it.
Yeah, for sure.
And like something inside of your head was telling you just fucking do it.
You just
did it.
know it.
That's just, you just know it. Like that's into it. Like you just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Like it's hard to explain it or put words to it.
Yeah. When
it's just something that's just like, you just do it. Like,
yeah. Wow. Tell us about, I'm loving this conversation. I think we've gone really deep and I love that. What is your, from here with everything that you're working on, what is your vision? If we can think about 5 years from now, I don't know how far you want to go, but I don't want to set years for you, but
yes. So that's something that I'm starting to work on long-term goals, because I'm very good at setting daily goals and short-term goals. Like I will set goals for myself every day. Yeah. Like I've started to do that, and I've noticed I'm very productive when I do that.
Dope.
I just write it down and I bang it out for what I'm going to do for during the day. Yeah,
that helps. Yeah.
Yes. But like setting a long-term goal. So I guess a long-term, like a 5-year goal. Fuck. And my sister's always on me about this. She's always like, you need to set a 5-term year goal. You need to set a goal long-term.
Damn, I made a hard question. But let's not talk about a goal and let's not think about 5 years. But what do you envision as, or what would you like to see? Just like that. Let's dream. What would you like to see with you yourself doing when it comes to hip hop certified, or when it comes to even your own music? Where would you like to go towards?
I would like to say that definitely, at least for hip hop certified, I would like it to be a fully functional business that serves the community. So something that's fully functioning, that's making revenue, that the people that are involved are, making money off of this, and it's also serving the community. So it's an essential part of the community. Like when they mention hip hop in Calgary, they mention hip hop certified. Yeah. So that's really what I'm shooting for with hip hop certified.
I like
as far as my own personal, like, I guess, creation of music and me as an artist, I would definitely like to. That's hard because I'm still kind of in that process of figuring that out.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to really set a clear vision for that yet. I know I should and I will, but right now it's more just like I'm in that stage of I'm just doing it because it feels right.
Yeah, and that's perfect too.
But I know you bring a good point, and I appreciate you bringing this up. Is like having a vision for what you're doing and why you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I understand that I'm doing this because I want to practice and master one of these elements of the culture, but what does that look like?
Yeah.
And how am I going to do that, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to go about being an MC if that's what you're going to call yourself?
Yeah.
How are you going to go about being an entrepreneur if that's what you're going to call yourself, right?
Exactly.
Because that takes a lot of fucking time too, right?
It does.
So both of them, like, you have to fully, like, I want to say fully commit, but you got to be like you got to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and put in time to do it. So
Yeah.
I'd say definitely hip hop certified, a fully functional business that serves the community. I'd say as an MC, I would say somebody who's respected by my peers. Like I'm somebody who can hold the torch with the people around me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can go into a cypher or I can go into a freestyle with the people that I interview and I can hold my own. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
I can hold my own and I can be like, yeah, like, you know what? Or if like I'm ever in a studio session, I could be like, yo, you know what? I know how to do this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yo.
so it's like just being able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that. And I think you're going to go really far with this. I think Hip Hop Certified has a future that you don't even see right now, but I think it's going to be huge. Because if you're planning, I mean, everything starts with a dream. I have a dream. I have a dream.
I have a dream.
Right?
Martin Luther King.
I have a dream. So you want to involve the community. You want it to be financially functioning, right? That it supports the community, that people can make money out of it. And that's a huge vision. And it's critical and it's important. And I think everyone's going to want you to achieve that, you know? And you have the support of all the community.
Absolutely.
You have it. Like,
thank you.
You have the support of the community. And I know you're very loved and I see it all over the place. And that's why I'm so thankful that you came here today to talk about all of this with me.
Thank you. This was awesome. I got a lot off my chest.
Yeah. You don't get to talk about all this in your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, I'm always interviewing people. So it's like, I don't always get the chance to like fully delve into kind of like how I think. So this is awesome that you had me here.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, it was great. It was great. You're a creative person. Being an entrepreneur is being super creative. That is definitely one of the most creative
hustle. You know
right?
What I mean?
It is. So problem solving there. Yeah. So
yes.
I see a bright future for you. And oh yeah, and please let us know now that we're finishing up at a very good timing. I would say, how can people get in contact with you? How do we find Hip Hop Certified?
You can get in contact with me personally through Instagram, or if you have my number, text me.
Okay.
That's literally like if I'm gonna put that out right now. If you have my number, text me or call me, like, please, like, because I feel like that's so much more personal. Like that, I feel like that's so much more personal.
Okay.
Like, we can talk through Instagram, but like when you're filling out papers, you will put down your phone number. You know, you're not putting down your Instagram paper.
Very
so it's
true.
like, especially if you have a relationship with somebody that's deeper, like you've talked with this person, had a deep conversation. I feel like if you can build that relationship to text somebody. So if you have my number, text me. But if you don't have my number and you're just listening to me, then hit me up through Instagram at Esteban_Xound or Hip Hop Certified. Check out all our content. That's where we post all the content.
Yes.
At hiphopcertified.com. That's HIPHOP X certified. So certified with an X.com.
Yes.
And check us out there, or Instagram Hip Hop Certified. And yeah, you can find us there. Hit us up. Let us know if you want to submit music and all that shit. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, and you have SoundCloud and you're on Spotify.
SoundCloud, Spotify.
Right? All Hip Hop Certified all over the place.
YouTube. Definitely
as
subscribe to the YouTube channel because that's what we're pushing now. But if you're an audio head and you like to listen to audio, Then we have Spotify, Google Play. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're, everywhere. Just type in Hip Hop Certified on Google and you'll find us.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Esteban, for being here. Muchas gracias. And
De nada.
I will see you. We'll listen to each other next time. Please, if you enjoyed this episode, give me a like, comment. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll hit you up next time.